So the maiden flight went awesome on this plane. It's absolutely fantastic flying little warbird. And this flight that I'm going to show you now is another flight from the same initial flight session with this plane. And in this flight I am flying it with a Nano-Tech 3S 1000 mAh 40C Lipo that weighs 90 grams. So I want you to see how it performs with the heavier battery. This one is 27 grams heavier than the battery that I flew it with in the maiden flight that I showed you, the maiden flight session, the first flight that I posted. That was a Nano-Tech 3S 950 mAh 25C Lipo that weighed 63 grams. So I couldn't really tell the difference in the weight, you know, with the 27 grams. It still had very, very light wing loading. And the other thing was that I was just flying it bank and yank most of the time. I wasn't even using rudder in the turns, and you can see that the plane on its own will make nice coordinated turns, just like my P-51D does. So I'm extremely happy with this plane. So I'll go ahead and I'll show you the flight video, and then I'll meet you back here and I'll give you some additional information on this plane. It's absolutely fantastic. See you out there.
All right, launching. Okay, I launched that at about 70% throttle. It takes right off with a moderate chuck at 70% throttle. All right, now I have it in wind mitigation mode. And I'm just flying it bank and yank, guys. I'm not even using rudder on those turns, and it's nice and sweet, isn't it? Nice slow roll. She's a beauty. Nice wide loops. Nice split S maneuver. I still think I may need to move my CG up just a little bit more. I tell you, that handle's awesome, guys. I'm cruising around at about 50% throttle right now. She is a beauty. Look at that. Big wide loop. TopRC Hobby really did an awesome job with this plane. Alright, starting to get my haptic. I just put it back into stabilization mode. Let's get it on the ground before we have any traffic coming through. There we go. What? There we go. Looks like I need to do some more RF frequency tuning on this receiver though.
What'd you think? Did you see any difference in the performance with the heavier battery in it? So I'm going to fly it with the 3S 1000 mAh LiPos from now on. And when I go back out again, I'm also going to take my 3S, my Nano-Tech 3S 1000 mAh 70C LiPos that weigh 100 grams. So I think, you know, the wing loading is so light, I think you're going to have a wide range of LiPos that you're going to be able to use with this plane. The ESC does come with one of those red JST connectors though. And I've got links to several batteries in the show notes that will work in this plane. Let's see here. I've been flying it with a XT30 adapter, XT30 to JST adapter with my smaller LiPos, because I put XT30 connectors on those LiPos, and on the 3S 1000 mAh LiPos, I used an XT60 to JST adapter that I fabricated that I used with those. So you don't have to change out this battery connector. You can just, you know, depending on what connector your battery has, you can always get an adapter for it. So you don't have to change that if you don't want to. I'm going to change it out to an XT60 connector, since the batteries that I'm going to be flying in this plane all have XT60 connectors. So I will be changing that one thing. I am flying it with a Byme-A gyro. This is a V1. Byme-A gyro, works great. The launches were a piece of cake. I just put it in stabilized mode, give it 70% throttle, and just a moderate chuck, and the plane just takes right off. No problem whatsoever. It really surprised me at how well this flew right off of the bat. You know, this is the least amount of tuning I've had to do to a plane in quite a while. The only thing really the only change that I made to it, other than putting a little down trim in the elevator that I needed, and then increasing the dual rate on the ailerons from 75% to 90%. And I think I'm going to go ahead and kick those up to 100%. So I've got it pretty well tuned out, and it's pretty balanced. If you watch the rolls, they're nice and axial. For me, I like to balance this with a neutral balance at 53 millimeters back from the front of the wing plate. In the specifications in the manual, it states, I think, 55 millimeters to 62 millimeters back from the front of the wing plate. It feels really locked in to me at 53 millimeters with a neutral balance. That's how I was flying it, you know, with the videos that I published. And it handled extremely well. It didn't feel nose heavy, didn't feel tail heavy, it rotated really well. It maintained its line. When I performed rolls with it, it was nice and axial, which tells me that the balance is pretty darn good. And everything is trimmed out pretty well. I didn't have any problems with the steel struts on the landing gear. The struts never bent, they never moved, and those weren't exactly soft landings that I had on the 4 flights that I've put on it so far. So I'm going to put a couple more flight sessions on it, before I decide to put the ordnance on it. I'm pretty sure I'm going to put the rockets on it. Now, whether I'll put the 2 wing bombs on it or not, I don't know. But I will definitely put the rockets on it. There's 6 that goes on each wing. So I think it'll look pretty cool. It'll add a little bit of drag to it. I don't think it's as fast of a warbird as my P-51D Mustang, but it handles and it maneuvers just as well as the P-51 Mustang. It has plenty enough power to do aerobatics with it. It's not a powerhouse, but I would say it's comparable to my P-51D Mustang now that I'm flying it on the 3S Lipo. So I would say that they're very comparable in power, even though this one is quite a bit heavier plane than the P-51D Mustang. Alright, so couple more flight sessions and then I'll put the ordnance on it and we'll see how it handles that, because I know that's going to be about 12 additional grams of weight. But my guess is, even with the 100-gram 3S Lipo I'm going to put in it and the 12 additional grams of the wing rockets that I'm going to put on it, it's still going to have really light wing loading. That really surprised me. I did not expect that, but it does. So as soon as I get my ailerons kicked up a little bit higher, see if I need to change my expo or anything. I know I'm not going to have to change any of the linkage, but as soon as I get it flying exactly how I want it, which I think another flight session I should have it there, then I will go ahead and publish the setup file and the OpenTX model file along with an image that you can use in a transmitter like the TX16S, you know, where you can use an actual image file for your model and the transmitter. I will get those posted on the Facebook page. There is links in the show notes to this plane, to several different batteries that will work in this plane. My suggestion would be that if you pull the trigger on this plane, and I think it's an exceptional value for what I paid for it. This is an awesome flying plane. I would buy an extra set of props for this, just in case you don't want to break a prop and have your plane down because you don't have a blade to replace it with. So when I ordered mine, I ordered an extra set of 4 blades for the props. That was another thing that really surprised me, is that I didn't have to balance the prop assembly. It was nice and smooth through the entire throttle range. Didn't have to do anything. It was already perfectly balanced, and I haven't seen many like that. So I was really happy about that. The way I was flying it in the video, in the flight video with the 3S 1000 milliamp hour 40C Lipo, I was pulling the battery down at about 0.1 volts per cell. So going from 4.2 volts per cell to 3.6 volts per cell, that's a minimum of 6 minutes of flight time flying it the way I was flying it. And I was flying it in some wind out there, so in calmer conditions I'd probably get a little bit more flight time. So when I take it back out, I'll be able to set my timer for 5-minute flight, and then that'll give me a minimum of 1 minute in reserve, just cruising around flying circuits if I have to fly circuits before I can land. So stay tuned. I'll be putting more flights on it. Like I said, as soon as I get everything lined out, I'll publish the setup OpenTX model file, and then I'll put the ordnance on the wings. But absolutely fantastic plane. I think at the price that I bought it at, it was a steal. So thanks for watching, and I will see you in the air.